Right, this is a video for how to make these little fisher dudes or little men, or you can also make girls or animals or whatever the heck you want. It's just done on a 22 pin knitting machine. I'm going to make it like you don't know anything, so if you don't want to watch the whole video, here's the counts for your 22. Drawstring cast on, 5 for the hat, 4 for the face, 8 for the shirt, 4 for the pants, 3 for the shoes. You fold it over, mattress stitch it, and then add the details for those of you who know what you're doing or what you want to do. For the rest of you, hold on tight. Try to truncate this and not make it too long. First thing you do is a drawstring cast on. So you start at your black peg, every other one. Also a tip, if you don't have a lot of luck with your Sentro staying put, Quake Hold works really good, and it's removable so you can move it around if you want. So you're going to drawstring cast on, and then you're going to do the counts that I gave you before for your little guy, and that's 5 for the hat, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so then you're going to cut this and tie the next one on, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. All right, so this is the how to change colors and then the cast off, and all the changing colors are the same. So you just do the counts. You do 5 for the hat, 4 for the head, 8, and then 4 for the pants, and then we're going to do 3 for the shoes. I'm at the 3 for the shoes on this one. So you just lay it in. I know there's better videos on how to do all of this, I'm sure, but this is just a quick and dirty video. So, okay, so you just lay in your color, advance a few pegs, boom, 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 tie them. I always tie them 3 times. I have no idea why. It seems to work. So you just snug it up under the bump there. 2. And I always do it 3 times. I don't know why. And then as long as I'm at it, I just cut it right now. And then you're going to go around 3 times because this is the last rows, because this is for the shoes. 1. Sorry, needed slack. 2. And 3. All right. Then, to cast off, you give yourself a little bit of extra yarn. Sorry, this is going to be a terrible video. Hopefully, though, it'll just give you enough information that you can do what you want to do. And then you thread your needle. I am not currently at my home, and I don't have all my tools, so I got all my knitting tools. I don't have any video making tools, so phone it is. Okay, so go forward a little ways and then go between the pegs and pick it up. I like to hold it because I hate losing them. It makes me annoyed. And the objective is not being annoyed. My Addi keeps catching on the second peg. I got a new red ring and it's still catching, but most of the time with these, the nice thing about these guys is They are small, and you fold half of them toward the inside, so if there's a little flub up, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the hat on this one is gray. So the first thing after you cast off is to deal with the ends. So here's my seam, because I didn't bother with making it match because it's not going to matter. The first thing I do is I straighten out the bottom a little bit, and I don't cinch it all the way close. I just cinch it, about my 3 fingers. 2 fingers, 1 finger, it doesn't matter. You can cinch it all the way if you feel like it. These things are really forgiving and highly personalizable, so they've been made forever. If you look up Duduza dolls, you'll see there's just so many things that you can do. Just your imagination, just let it run wild. And you can make them big, you can make them little, and I just wanted to make tiny ones because there are only 24 rows, so you can work them into your life really easily and neatly, and not have to devote days to them or anything. Okay, so I cinch up the top. You cinch up the hat all the way, just pull it tight and neaten it out, and then you're going to fold it in half. And this is where you do the mattress stitch. And mattress stitch, there are really great videos, if you don't know how, that are probably better at explaining it than I am. But quick and dirty version, you line up the rows so that the V's are facing the same direction. So my V's on this one happen to be facing this direction. If you look at that stitch, see, they're like this. So you want both rows, 2 rows, when you fold it in half, to be right there. Then you stick your needle in between the stitch on one side, and then make sure you stay in the same direction on your V. See, it's over here. I've almost lost it this time again. Stitch it in there. The trick is keeping track. Oops. Yep, I almost lost it. I did. Oh no, I want to go in this one. See? Totally. Happens all the time. There. I want this one. I didn't want that far one. And then, usually at the top or the bottom, I pick up 1. Sometimes I do the whole thing, picking up every 1, but you can go 2. And it'll still zip up nicely, depending on... a lot of people, when they come to the color change, they do singles. I oftentimes just do singles with toys because it feels like it's more secure, and I'm hoping they hold up. I haven't played with any of them long enough to know. Don't have any kids of my own at the moment. Well, I have a kid, but he's not a kid anymore. But hopefully, wherever they are, the toys, they wind up, they've been holding up. All right, so gonna do 2 because it's quicker. So you mattress stitch all the way down, and I just did that with my hat leftover top yarn. You just bring it on down. It doesn't matter if it doesn't match, it's not going to show. And if it does show, you just kind of cover it up, but usually it doesn't if you do it halfway decently. Single by the color change. Doubles. Doubles. And somehow I'm off, but that's okay. It's the nice thing about these things is they're totally forgiving. You can, if you add a couple rows, forget a couple rows when you're doing the shirt, make it into a dress and make it into a girl. Throw on braids, or whatever. Or if you're, if you decide you want them taller, go for it. Just play around at the dimensions and stuff because they're totally forgiving. They're just so fun. It's completely fun. There's just really nothing. There's no angst in these. Okay, so you got all the way to the bottom. Pull it up tight. Make sure it's nice and nice. Then you throw a stitch in there. What I do is I just throw a little knot in there because, I don't know, because I feel better when it's not. And then I'm going to just stuff this up underneath to get it out of the way. All right. Next step is to stuff it a little bit. So grab yourself a little fiber fill or extra yarn cuts or whatever you stuff with, and just put some in there, and you stuff to your heart's content. You can make it fatter if you want to, less fat if you want to. You can give it some contour if you feel like it. Make the head bigger, make the head smaller. It doesn't matter. Whatever floats your boat. Actually, I guess you could probably do it without even stuffing it if you want to. Haven't tried it, because I like the squishy. They'd still be squishy with just the yarn, but I just haven't done it. And I don't give them that much contour. I don't play with it that much, not so far. Okay, so you see here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my needle. Oops, dropped it. Just a sec. Oh. Okay, I'm going to throw my needle on the brown now. And decide, now that was the back. This is where I seamed it, although you really can't tell. But I'm going to look for the side that kind of looks, the front still looks pretty nice to me. So I'm going to use the front as the front. I'm going to run this needle to the middle. And then see how it's sort of flat against the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and forth. Now you can do this really, really neatly, nicely if you want to, or you can just do quick and dirty. And with my eyesight, I have noticed it doesn't really matter that much. So with better eyes, you might, be a little more particular. But it hasn't bothered me that it's kind of just gotten done. And I'm going to go back the other way, and I'm going to go around again, boom, boom, and just make it sort of a flat space so it will look like two legs when I get done. Okay, so I'm going around. So just sew it up, and then if there's little stuffings or a little bit showing, you just kind of work your needle around and neaten it up, make it look whatever. So there, when you get done, kind of a flat bottom like that. Okay, this is the back again. I can actually tell more by feel than by looking. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the middle. I'm going to look at him, or about the middle, because, okay, I'm going to find about the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, make sure I'm kind of in the middle and the back, and I'm going to stitch him up. I'm going to make a crease or a seam in the middle so it looks like he has a division in his legs. And that you just pull tight and just creates a little contour for you so he looks like more than he is. I like to go to be sure that I'm going in the deep part of the stitches, because then the stitches don't show, and it doesn't matter what color you're using because they're not going to show. So you don't have to worry that it's going to look cruddy. Sorry, we have an ant problem. It's summer and they are everywhere. So if you see ants crawling around, it's because they're everywhere. Okay. Okay. So when you're happy with it, just go through. And what I do is I just sort of finish it off. Now you can knot it if you want to, or knot if you don't want to, and just sew it back and forth a couple times, depending on how much play you expect to get. If it's just going to sit there, you don't have to worry too much. But if someone's going to play with it, you probably want to knot it. And I still go back and forth because I don't like it when the tails come out. So I figure if I sew them a couple different ways, oops, sorry, they stay better. There. Now your little dude has legs. The next thing we do is we give him a head. So you take the color of his shirt, or a different color if you want his neckline to be contrasting, or, you know, to be scarf-like or whatever. And on these guys, I like to do it I like to leave a little bit of a tail, okay, because I use it to sew his arms. All right, so I start in the back and I go over under every other one. So over, under, because they're little and there's not that many, and I don't want the big old things going. So that tail, I guess I left too much tail. I either seem to leave too much or not enough. It's usually the way it goes. Over, under, over, under, over, under. This also works good for the next step. Okay, so over every other one. Now I have dog hair. Yay me, it's everywhere in my life, sorry. Okay, so there's still like a tail about, you know, yay long. It's not very long, it's just long enough to define the arms. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cross this over once. Oops, wrong tail. Twice, okay? So not just once, but twice, because then when you pull it, it stays. And you're not fighting it releasing, okay? Then tie a knot. And I usually only ever do this one time on these little guys, because really they're not so crazy. You can make it as tight or as loose as you want. I didn't even look. That's not so great. Okay. And you thread your needle. I start with my needle on the short one, because I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to get rid of it by poking it in. Okay, I'm going to look at his front. I'm going to look about where I think I want to define the arm. And then I try to be consistent. So I usually do 4 or 5, depending. So I'm going to go, I stuck it in to hide it, but I'm going to start his arm. And I'm going to go do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because that seems like arm. And you can go deeper if you want more defined, or less deep if you just, you know, just kind of want to give a feel, a suggestion of an arm, because that's all it is anyway. I'm going to sew back and forth through the whole thing. It's best if you can remember which lane you're in, so it looks smooth and like a round, gives the impression of an arm. So stay in your lanes. You know, that's why it's good to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See. And then you can add a hand if you want to, so he is standing there with his hands next to him. I oftentimes don't, because I like the look that it looks like he's got his hands in his pockets. So oftentimes I don't bother with that step. But if you want to add hands, here's where you do it. And you take your flesh color and you just throw some in there, and then you'd go around enough times so you like the way it looked, and you just stack it up right across this part. In that case, also you want to make sure that you bring this part, your gathering part, all the way down to here, okay, to the bottom. Otherwise it'll stick out and it won't look like his hand. You want to cover up all of the color of the shirt, okay? But when you're done and it looks like an armish, I'm losing my phone. I just give it a knot in the back to kind of hold it. And then stick it through. Sometimes I go back and forth in the deep part a times just so it hopefully doesn't come out so easy. And cut that one off. You'll be done with it. So the next part, I have to go grab my crochet hook, so I gotta pause this. Okay, so the next part is to crochet his little scarf or his little collar. So what I do is I stick my needle in one of those standing up lines where you gathered the neck, and I pull it through. I'm going to give it a, and then you just slip stitch all the way around. So you stick your needle in and you pull your needle through. You stick your needle in, grab the yarn, pull it through. Stick the needle in, grab the yarn, pull it through both. Sorry, let me see if I can give you the correct instructions. Not a crocheter. Well, I am, but I'm not a teacher of crochet. Not a teacher of anything, but there you go. Okay. So you just go right around, one stitch per stitch. And when you get to the back, you can see how you're going to be here, right? So what you do is make this shorter, and if you left it long, okay, you just cut that off. Pull it all the way through. And you thread your needle. Then you find your beginning crochet. Now you can either go in that first one right here, or the second one, depending on how tight you want it to make it. It might tighten it up. If you do the second one, loosen it up. If you do the last one, it's fine. You're going to make a chain here to continue. So you see how the yarn comes out of here? You go underneath both stitches there, and then you go back into that one right there. Okay? And I'm just going to go up under his neckline a little bit, and I'm going to pull that until it looks the way I want to. Now this is the back, so I don't care so much, but I do like it to kind of look, you know, nice. And then I'm going to just do another knot right up underneath that crochet. That's what I do. You do whatever you want to, however you want to secure it is fine. And then I'm going to stuff that needle in there and bury the end again. I'm going to bury it in the backs. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh my goodness, I almost missed a step. Okay, so when you make a mistake like that, hopefully you have enough yarn that you didn't totally screw it up. Sometimes, if you were paying attention to where you put the yarn, you could pull it back out, but I wasn't, so here we go. Sorry, I made a mistake. What you want to do is you want to use the rest of that tail of yarn before you finish it off to do his arm. Duh. Sorry, missed a step. Tell you what. Okay, so here's his front again. So I'm going to decide about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to stick the yarn needle through, and I'm going to think, yeah, that looks about the same. So I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to define his arm. Stay in the trenches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Stay in the same grooves too. You want to stay in the same lanes. It's just much better. Looks better. If you wander around, it doesn't look so good. Ask me how I know. Okay. So you're going to go back up. So just do it until you like the way it looks. And then you're going to knot it and bury it. Sorry about that. I got ahead of myself there. So you didn't need to knot it after you finished. But actually the knot after you finish the crochet is not a bad idea, because then when you pull it, it doesn't pull it so tight. It doesn't undo your work. So knotting is kind of a technique that you can use to keep things going the way you want them to go. All right. I'm sweating, so it's slipping. It's really hot today. It's like 94 degrees in here. So I got a little bit of a problem what I did here, but I can just give it a little pull, hopefully. Good enough. There he is. He's got his hands in his pockets, he's got his little britches, and he's got his head definition. So the next thing is the hat. And the hat, we just take a piece of whatever color yarn you want to make the brim. You don't have to make it the same color. And I'm going to go into the hat because his face is not that big. So I'm going to add the hat to the hat. So I'm just going to pull up a loop, and then I'm going to pull through another loop. So then the yarn is secure. And then I'm just going to do the same thing that I did around every other one. Actually, I think on the hat I like to do every one. So let me restate that. I'm going to do slip stitch every bar here. Nope. Take it back. Yes. No. Every other bar. Okay. Sorry, my bad. Every other bar. It's too many if it's every bar. I think I hadn't made these before. I think I was still working it out, so my apologies for... But you know, if you think it needs more, or you want it to be fluffier, go for it. Do it. Do it another way. It is nothing here, written in stone here. It's just what I do, not what needs to be done. If you, oops, missed one. Feel differently. Whoops. I'm sorry. This is going to be terrible. I'm sorry. Hopefully it will be good enough that you can get what you need from it. I'm actually a firm believer that people who give things away for free don't need to apologize too much, but there you go. These are kind of fun because you can make a whole tassel of the blanks, you know, the body pieces, the big pieces, and then just bring a little bit of spare yarn with you, and you could put it in, you know, just have a needle and a little stuffing and some thread yarns, and just have them all ready to work on at any time. I think if they're kids are like me, they really love to play with little toys. I love to play with little toys. I like little toys. I was always a Polly Pocket person. Okay, so then the same thing here. You cut that off. You're going to go through your V like that, and you're going to finish it off by making it into another V. Okay, and you're going to go up underneath. See how it's finished? See how it makes a seamless join there? All right, and the next thing is to figure out if you're in a good place to make a knot. I think it's fine. Knot it kind of tight so it can be buried, and then bury the yarn. I like to go a couple different directions. Go down. Oops, I pulled that too tight. It's okay. Pull it out in a minute. Okay. Whoops. Drop the phone. It's my sweaty chin. I'm actually holding it under my chin, guys, so sorry. That's why I can't even tell if I'm doing a good job or not. It's probably going to have to start all over. It's okay. Man on a fast horse will never notice. Okay, so that's his back end, that's his front. And there's the beginning of a little fisherman dude. And really, the only thing we have left is his face and his beard. So I will show you how I did that just shortly. Okay, so you can put any kind of eyes on him. You could have put safety eyes on him before you stuffed him if you wanted to, or you can felt them, or you can stick them on with Cricut pieces or whatever, but I don't have a Cricut, and that's one thing I just don't want to do because I think I do enough. But I'm just doing little French knot eyes because he's a pretty simple little guy. So I just pull up some yarn, I leave a tail so I can knot it and bury it. Okay, so I'm going to go up where I think eyes would be good. And I'm going to give it a 1, 2, right around there. And then I'm going to go in. I'm going to try and make sure that I go into some yarn so it won't get completely lost. And I'm going to try and go up where I want the other one. Okay, so then I'm going to hold on to that. To be honest, I think French knots sort of suck for me, but... And I'd always like to have cuter eyes than that, but sometimes you just want the quick and dirty. I got something sticking out of in there. So there's a little eye. Okay, so this did not come out level. Okay, I stuck it in the wrong spot, so I'm going to bring it down. So then it looks, see if it's in about the right spot, and I think once I go over it'll be okay. So again, lay the needle down, 1, 2, oh my goodness. And I like to make sure that I go into the yarn so that it doesn't pull all the way through accidentally. Okay, and then I'm going to try and go back out about the same place as I went in, if not exactly the same place. Hopefully exactly the same place would be good. And then I'm going to hold on to that yarn, because I find that if I don't, the results are even less spectacular. So much easier when you're not attempting to convey information via video. Okay. Not too recessed. They're not great, but they're not too bad. It's better if you don't pull out the stuffing. There. So there he is so far. So this is the same deal as always. Knot. And bury. Oops. And since this isn't structural, I'm not going to worry about burying it back and forth because it's got a little knot and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Although it totally could. But. And not to be honest, if I'm making a bigger project, I usually take more care than I do with these little guys because you've got so much more invested. But these guys are so forgiving and so fun and so quick and dirty that it's just very liberating to just be free. Now, some of these, you might see, there's a couple little places where there's some color showing through that doesn't belong. So you can just take your needle back or your crochet hook or whatever and kind of work them. Sometimes the ends from where you join your yarn work their ways to the top. So I just stuff them underneath so they're not visible. And sometimes this is just a stitch, so that's okay. It just looks like he has a belt on. It's okay. Yeah. So there he is. Okay, and the next part is the face fluff. I don't know what's going on right here, but it's got a little piece of fiber that's they always have something that seems to go right in the middle. Now, I don't do any other facial features because I just haven't. And so, next is the facial features. The facial hair. Be right back. Okay, so here we go with the facial fluff. And this, you can find better videos on how to do this, I'm sure. But here's a quick and dirty one anyway. Oops, get rid of that needle. Okay, so I'm just using the yarn that I used. So this is the same yarn I used for his shoes. And I'm going to wrap it around my 3 fingers. I don't know. I'm going with 10 times. You can make his hair whatever color you have, whatever color you want. Okay, then I'm going to cut these. I just wrap that around my 3 fingers. Going to cut them. Then what you'll need is a slicker brush. So you can get these at anywhere. Walmart, Amazon, any pet store, whatever. So A little one is good. I kind of like the fine one. This one was laying around in a box that we weren't using from tiny dogs we used to have that we don't anymore. And then you just brush the yarn and see how it unravels. So then you turn it around, do the other side. Now this is also a very liberating, free process. It's totally fly by the seat of your pants. It's fun, it's relaxing, it's no worries, no stress. It's just play. It's just real play. So it's super cool. So you can do as much or as little, and you can be as particular or as loose as you want. It's completely up to you. Now I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought these because they have them on the shelf, which was better than going to Amazon and searching my life away, since I had to go buy yarn anyway. So I just got this $1.49 pack. I'm using one. Please be careful. They are incredibly sharp and they're barbed. See, they have tiny little barbs on them. You can see the barbs are what push the fibers in. So I'm going to take some of this, okay, and I'm going to take some, and so far, I've always started with their beers. I've actually only made 2. So I'm going to find the middle of his face. I could start with his mustache, I guess. Put it up higher. Boom, boom, boom. And what you do is you just watch your fingers, please. You actually should be wearing finger protection, and you should actually probably be working on a surface and not into your hand, because if you stab yourself, it will hurt, and it's not a great idea. And then you just poke it, and you poke it until it looks like what you want it to look like. And you these are really easy because they kind of look pretty good with very little effort, I think. I mean, look at how cute he is already, right? He looks like a little dude, and that's really all I wanted. Okay, and you can, now if you want this shorter, you can either trim it or you can lift it up and felt underneath. I kind of like to felt underneath anyway because I feel like it makes it more secure. The other videos that I watched on this felting thing say be careful to stab your needle straight in and out. Don't wanch on it. You know, you just stab it straight in. It's like a sewing machine. Boom, 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 boom. So then all you do from here on out to make him what you want is just keep putting on hair until you think he's done. You can make him bald with a beard. You can make him have long, wavy hair, depending on how long you make those strands. I just do the free fingers because I just want him to have short hair. You can make it look kind of curlier. You can make it look smooth. You can make it look wispy. It really is just all, and you can even play with some of these other things. If you find things that are sticking out, you can kind of stick them in. It's kind of fun. Maybe I could fix this eye by stuffing that down underneath where I want it instead of having it poke out. Or maybe not. Oh, and don't dig with it because that's a bad idea. So then when you get it up here, when I get it up here, you have to lay it fairly close to the hat and then kind of go up underneath to get it close. So there's not a bald spot. So then you just cover it and felt them till you're done. And then you will have little dudes. And you can style him however you like. You can make him look like your hubby or your brother or some character. There you go. Little Duduza guys. Hope this works for you. Have a nice day.